Hello guys, my name is Lukasz and I'm making YouTube videos about Japan and my experience of living there for 10 months. Today I would like to share with you how I learned Japanese. My first encounter with Japanese was in high school when I was 16 or 17 years old. And at that time in Poland there was a huge boom for anime. Actually I got into that stuff and started watching it on a daily basis. What was really drawing me into that anime, I think, was the language, the Japanese language. And it sounded for me really interesting, really mysterious, really oriental. It had a nice ring to it. And I said to myself that one day I want to be able to watch whole episode without any subtitles or help and understand most of it. Why, you may ask? Because I like hobbies and I'm finding myself a new hobby each week. And at that time I thought to myself that Japanese is gonna be my new hobby. However, of course, I was afraid that I won't be able to learn Japanese because of hiragana and katakana. You all know that those characters look really scary. And I didn't have much money, so I was quite skeptical of spending them on expensive books or courses in language schools. I decided to learn hiragana and katakana only and see for myself if they are that scary. And actually they weren't. It took me maybe 2 weeks to learn them, maybe 1 month to learn them really well. I mean, to recognize every character on the fly. And then I took a break because I had a lot of stuff going on in my high school and didn't have much time for Japanese. After I handled my stuff with high school, I went back to Japanese. I was more serious about it this time. And I did some research and I decided to learn only vocabulary for that time. I know it's strange, however, I downloaded Anki. This is an app for learning vocabulary and other stuff actually. You can make your own flashcards with anything on it, so you can learn physics or something. But I think it really shines with languages when you can put just words into those flashcards. But I'm lazy and I downloaded some already made decks for vocabulary. You know, those 3000 essential words or core Japanese vocabulary. And I went ahead and downloaded those. And when I was going to my school, I was going through those decks word by word, and I was trying to memorize as much vocabulary as I could. And I think my reasoning behind learning vocabulary first was that I felt bigger sense of progress by learning vocabulary than by learning grammar. I mean, you can easily tell when you learned 100, 200 words, 300 words, when you can read the word and you can tell the meaning right away. With grammar it's actually more tricky. Most of the grammar in Japanese language works in such a way that you conjugate a word to get a meaning. I mean, you conjugate nouns, adjectives and verbs to make a meaning. For example, I want to eat. Tabetai, right? Taberu means eat and tabetai means I want to eat. So if you don't know how to say eat in the first place, you cannot say I want to eat. But knowing only words, you can say taberu, taberu, to say that I want to eat. I know it's stupid, I know it's not how language learning is supposed to look like, and I know definitely it's not conversation, right? Taberu, taberu. And because of those Anki decks, I actually also learned Kanji because well, I don't know how to write a lot of kanji even now, but I know how to read a lot of kanjis because those decks were organized in such a way that first the word in Japanese was shown in kanji form, and then you had to guess what was the meaning and what was the pronunciation. So when you clicked that you guessed, the pronunciation was on top and the meaning was below the word. So this is how I learned kanji. Then I found this site on the internet called Learning Japanese with Taekim, and that was really big help for me because that site is so well organized and structured, and it covers basics and some advanced stuff, however not too much to overwhelm you, that I could go back to that site on a regular basis to learn new things each day. So that was big help for me. So after a while learning Japanese at home on my own, I actually got an opportunity to enroll for an Japanese summer course for beginners in local language school. And I mean, I was really happy that I was going to that school. However, I was a bit disappointed because I already knew a lot of stuff about Japanese, and I felt like I was repeating the stuff I already know. But that course let me organize my knowledge in a better way, and because of that course I enrolled to a longer course in the same school, which was more beneficial for me because it covered more topics and I could practice my pronunciation and conversation skills with a teacher. And of course, having a teacher around is a really good thing. So after I realized that I was behaving like a smarty pants on that course, I thought to myself, I'm good at Japanese, so I decided to talk with Japanese people now. And this is when the HelloTalk app comes into play. It's a great app for connecting with people around the world that are learning your language and you are learning their language, so we can help each other. And on that app I met some of my friends that I'm still in contact with. And there's something also similar to HelloTalk, and it's called Italki. I also use that. And this is actually a website, and it lets you to, for example, write an essay, and other people will comment on it and try to correct your mistakes. And the biggest benefit of that site, I think, is that it actually kind of forces you to make those sentences, right? If you are committed, then you will type those sentences. And it's not that other people correct your mistakes, it's that you will actually see when you have trouble expressing yourself. And when you find those places where you have troubles, then you can actually work on them. The more I learned Japanese, the more Japanese culture I started surrounding myself with, and I started listening to Japanese music. I started watching also Japanese movies instead of anime. Also, there was this event called Matsuri, Picnic with Japanese Culture, and I volunteered for it, and I really enjoyed it, even though I was working there for free. That was only for one day and few hours, but it was a really nice thing to do. I met some Japanese people, and it was really fun to do. After 1 year in that language school, I decided that I will be better off learning on my own, because I couldn't see any much more improvement while attending those classes. And this is where I started gathering a lot of books for learning Japanese. And I will make another episode about tools I used for learning Japanese, books and other stuff. After I quit my school, I still was learning on my own. However, after some time I had to stop learning Japanese, unfortunately, because of my university. Things got really busy for me. I also, after university, I got a job, so I was really busy and I didn't have time for my Japanese language studies. Also, in the meantime, I lost my interest in watching anime. I stopped watching it, and I didn't have that much motivation. Roughly 1.5 years ago, I got an amazing opportunity to go to Japan for that working holiday visa. That was a huge boost for me, for my motivation to go back to Japanese and start learning it again. So after I realized that I'm actually going to Japan, I revised all of my Anki decks and all of my textbook I had on basic topics and advanced topics, and actually it was enough for me to go to Japan, but I felt like I was lacking in conversational skills. This is the hardest thing to practice with learning Japanese, that conversations. It's really hard to find a Japanese person outside Japan to practice those conversations. Please, if you have any opportunity to talk with Japanese people, even online, right now we have really interesting times to figure that out. If you have anybody that is willing to help you, please ask them to, because there's nothing better than a Japanese person to talk with to improve your Japanese language skills. When I was in Japan, I was feeling improvement each week because I was surrounded by Japanese people and Japanese signs with kanji and hiragana and everything. So there was no other way than to absorb that knowledge and to memorize it. I know that sometimes feels almost impossible to do something like going to Japan to live there or to go there for a working holiday. I know it sounds difficult, but sometimes it's just really a matter of good determination to achieve something and actually go to Japan. If you want to go to Japan, I wish you all the luck and I hope you will get there and that you will master your Japanese. Okay, that's it for today. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment below. If you like the video, please hit that like button, it helps me a lot. Thank you again for watching and cheers, bye!